Jane Eyre is a book written by Charlotte Bronte that came out for the first time in 1847. Jane Eyre is an orphan who grows up to become a teacher and falls in love with her boss, Mr. Rochester. The book looks at things like love, gender roles, social class, and the search for oneself. There are 3 parts to the book. In the first part, Jane Eyre is shown as a child who lives with her mean aunt and cousins. Jane is treated badly and ignored, but she shows how strong she is by speaking up for herself and not letting herself be bullied. Jane is eventually sent to a boarding school, where she becomes close with a girl named Helen Burns. Helen teaches Jane the value of being patient and forgiving. The second part of the book is about Jane's life as a maid at Thornfield Hall, where she meets Mr. Rochester and falls in love with him. Their connection is complicated by the fact that Mr. Rochester is already married and by the fact that they are from different classes. Jane and Mr. Rochester fall in love despite these problems, but their happiness doesn't last long when Jane finds out Mr. Rochester's secret. Jane's trip after she leaves Thornfield Hall is told in the third and final part of the book. She is taken in by a kind family, but she soon finds out that her uncle left her a lot of money. Jane goes back to Mr. Rochester, who has been through a terrible loss, and they get back together. Jane and Mr. Rochester get married at the end of the book. They start a new life together. One of Jane Eyre's main themes is the search for self. Jane fights through the whole book to figure out who she is and where she fits in the world. She wants to be on her own, but she also wants to be loved and have friends. Her life is hard because she is an orphan and a governess, and because she is a woman, which limits her possibilities and choices. The place of women in society is another important theme of the book. Jane is a strong, independent woman who doesn't want to be defined by the roles that are expected of men and women. She is determined to make it on her own in the world, no matter how hard it is. The book also looks at how women are often held back by society norms and expectations and how their relationships with men are used to judge and define them. The book also looks at how complicated love and relationships can be. Jane and Mr. Rochester's relationship is complicated by the fact that they are from different social classes and have different duties. Their love for each other is strong and full of desire, but it is also tense and full of problems. Social class is another important idea in the book. As an orphan and a teacher, Jane's life is shaped by her place in society, and she is constantly reminded of it. The book also looks at how a person's social class affects their chances and choices in life and how it affects their relationships with other people. The book is also known for having characters who are colorful and complicated. Jane Eyre is an interesting main character because she is both strong and weak. She is surrounded by people who are just as complicated, like the mysterious Mr. Rochester, the kind and motherly Mrs. Fairfax, and the cruel and manipulative Blanche Ingram. Overall, Jane Eyre is a deep and interesting book that looks at a lot of different ideas and themes. Its vivid characters and thorough descriptions of 19th century England make it a fascinating book to read, and the themes of love, gender roles, social class, and the search for identity continue to be important to readers.